You legends, at it again. Just left Northampton. I'm on West Rayford Road. I'm headed east and going to pick up the group. This is a week where I backed off my training, took a rest week, rode every other day, and giving my body a chance to assimilate the last couple of months of training. Should be fun. I'm gonna get some good clips for you all.
On this ride, I left Northampton, rode into the woodlands, picked up the group at the Alden Village Center. We headed out. We took Honea-Egypt Road once we got out of town, went through the neighborhood, Grand Lake Estates. By the time we finished the neighborhood and we hit Keenan Cutoff, I went ahead and turned around, used 2854, came up through Leah Drive, back to Fishcreek, came back into town. I had taken a bit of a rest week, and so I wasn't really feeling up to pushing really hard on the ride, so I had to listen to my body. But I think you will like the few clips I put together for you all. We're on the open road. We're on Egypt Lane. We're waiting for the light at 1488. About to get out of town. I had just turned on the camera here. So my plan today was just to sit in on the wheels, and I was hoping to go further than I did, but by the time we got out of the neighborhood, I was just not feeling it, so I decided to just turn around and head back in. We had a good turnout on this ride. The guy right here on the right is Adrian. That's Mike Barreras. Next to him is Doug Schott. That's Abby up there all in black. Abby's matching his bike. This road is called Huffsmith Conroe Road. We're going across 1488 here. So as I titled it, Drafting to Save Energy, that was my plan, to just kind of sit in the wheels, take it easy, don't do anything extra. And I accomplished that. But I needed to shorten the day because on my rest week, I dropped the hours. And this is usually a 6-hour ride. I ended up doing 4 hours by myself in total. So next week, I'll be back on my regular volume. That's Alejandro on the left in the picture. Behind, that's Mike Bradbury. And in a little bit, Alejandro's going to ask me whether I'm aware that Garmin has mounts for the camera. And so all I do is I tell him, yeah, I have all the mounts. I just don't want to use them. I tried to keep the conversation short because, you know, I just wanted him to ride his bike, not worry about my camera. You know, every now and then we get somebody who thinks that they've come up with an idea that's brand new. Yeah, I bought this camera that cost several $100s, but Garmin failed to tell me that they have mounts. I don't know how many of you know any manufacturer that sells a product that doesn't have related items on there. They're always trying to get you what they call upsell. So even if I didn't know about it, they were going to push it to me anyway. I just looked at him like, yeah, I have them. I don't like them. He asked me if I wanted one. I said no. Then he continued. You will hear it. And he asked me, have you heard of the chest mount? I said, yeah, I've got it too. I got the chest mount, the wrist mount, the bar mount, all of them. It's nothing new.
Hey,
and so he got the
doing?
message and kept quiet, thankfully.
I heard you were sick.
I'm telling him, I asked Mike. Mike had been sick. He said it was a month ago.
Okay.
You're still getting over. Well, I'm through it now. Lingering cough.
Yeah.
So there was a strain of COVID and other things going around. Late winter, early spring or something like that. Or mid-spring. So quite a few people caught it. Pretty much most of my riding I do solo. Every now and then I may pick up a midweek ride or like a Thursday ride or something. But most of the time I ride by myself. And then when we stop, I try to stay outside because you don't know what people have. Some people have stuff they don't even know to sit. And you can pick up stuff if you're in close quarters.
I don't like it. You don't like it?
This is what he's asking me about the mounts.
I have all of them. I've tried all of them.
So that's the message I'm trying to get him to get. I've tried all of them. I have all of them. In other words, let it go.
Sometimes I put it under here.
So I showed him the mount that's on the front. So I figure we're done. No, that wasn't enough.
What about the chest piece?
There we go.
I've tried all of them. I have all of them.
Since he didn't hear me the first time, I just repeated what I said earlier. And I think he finally got it. Like, geez, ride your bike. Quit worrying about my camera. I know what I'm doing. The chest piece. I've got the wrist piece, the helmet piece, all of them. I've tried them. They're sitting in a plastic bucket at home. If you're that interested in them, I'll sell them to you. I say, don't worry about riding your bike. Don't worry about what I'm doing back here. I didn't wait 6 or 7 years for you to happen on the ride to suggest mounts to carry the camera on. GoPro already did that. They're really good at selling stuff, like most vendors. So we're turning left here. It's an unprotected left, so we waited. And so this is Honea-Egypt Community Road. The pace usually picks up, and this was no different. So I'll go ahead and ride up and get on the wheels. We're doing about 20 miles an hour. I'll go ahead and put the power down, ride to get on the wheels, because whoever's at the front just took off when we turned.
You sticking to the original route, or are you going to... Well, I'll change it if necessary. Okay. So you're going to go through Johnson. Out to Mount Moriah, then Johnson, yeah? Yep. I think it'll be okay.
He's asking about a route because there's a road on this route called Johnson Road that's really low. There's one spot after we get to Dacus, and it happened to be underwater on this day, but it's susceptible to flooding. And we've had quite a bit of rain the last week, several days of consistent rains. So it happened to be underwater. But I didn't go that far with the group. I turned around by the time we got outside of Grand Lake Estates. Kenny pulled out to blow his nose, so I move up. I just stay on the wheel that I'm on. And so that was my plan, to keep my effort low. I wanted to stay primarily in zone 2. And you know, your zone 2 may vary, but for me, when I'm riding many hours and trying to keep the effort low, I'm mostly maybe 200 watts, not much more than 250 on the inclines. But as far as heart rate, I don't go much over 150 beats per minute. Because anything over that, then you're in like tempo zone. And I don't like to spend too much time in tempo zone. I like to go through it and get over the threshold. I stay a little to the left. The road is cleaner. There's a nice draft. I don't like to go beyond those little reflectors because that little edge of the road doesn't last. So you get out there, you're going to have to come back. So I'm just on the road here. Because they'll have to come back anyway, as you can see right here. And when I'm riding solo, this is where I stay. I don't go to the right and have to come back. I just stay here. So the drivers know I'm using this lane. They can move over when they go by. Because if you keep riding by the edge of the road, you encourage them to skip by you. But this is the proper spot to be in on a road like this. unless they queue up behind you and you want to move over for them to go by when it's safe. But for the most part, they don't have trouble getting around. I ride this road solo during the week. I'll come out here, do a 4-hour loop, similar to what I ended up doing on this Saturday. But I started feeling a little lightheaded. By the time we got out there, I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and call it quits. So I pulled the pin, turned around, took a different way back into town. Went on, did something else with the morning. I got back about 10:30, something like that. You can see it's quiet. I'm looking for the draft, and I'm staying a little to his left because that's where it is. Plus, there's a lot of patina on the right, a lot of cracks and crevices. We're going by most of them, so this is the best spot to sit in. That's how you have to draft. I'm within about a foot. The camera makes it seem further, but you can see my tire. I'm within a foot of him, and the way he rides, I don't overlap him, especially because he's always moving left and right, and he doesn't glide. It's not like he's skating. His moves are more abrupt. So I definitely did not overlap him. I'm not familiar riding with him that much. And so when you're not sure of the wheel you're following, make sure you don't overlap, because it's your responsibility to protect your wheel. We have a new rider that's pulling right now, a guy named Logan that joined. I saw a new face. I asked him for his name and he's told us. And I guess he seemed to think he needed to pull. So he's sitting up there. In a few kilometers, Richard Lamb, one of the other riders, will ride up and tell him, you don't have to sit up here the whole time. I'm thinking, you didn't have to do that. He'll figure it out. You know, it's like you pull as long as you feel like you want to pull. You're not going to get any argument out of anybody around here. If somebody wants to go faster, they'll just go around you. But he went up there and told him, told him to get off the front pretty much. And he did. On the long ride, you got to save your energy. This is early in the ride. Everybody's fresh. You hear how quiet it is because that camera is not fighting a lot of wind right now because of where I'm sitting. But because the road's going up, it's 3% right there. So you saw 400 and something watts briefly. You have to do the extra work when the grade changes if you want to keep the speed in the same range, so to speak. On my very easy rides by myself, I don't try to keep the speed there. I focus more on the effort. I let the speed drop. I downshift, and I get in the proper gear when the terrain changes to stay in the zone I need to stay in. That's why it's easier to take it easy by yourself than when you're riding with others. Because not everybody's disciplined. Not everybody has a plan. They just show up. Some people just show up and they just do whatever the group does. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But if it's not, then sometimes you got to let them go or do something different. I backed up because he reached for his phone. I'm not sure what he was doing. But whenever a rider gets distracted like that, I want to make sure I have enough room if he messes up so I'm not involved. Not sure why you'd reach for your phone in the middle of the pace line. I'm sure he had a good reason. I thought he was going to take a picture of the group or something. Some riders do that, but usually you pull out of line. Some riders wait till we're at a light to take a picture or something. When I ride with my phone goes in the radio pocket. If I'm riding a Rafa short, it goes in the radio pocket of that short. I don't touch my phone when I'm on the bike. I carry my phone for me to make calls should I need to call for a ride or whatever. I don't use the phone for anything else. So it gets parked. I turn the ringer off, and it's just there until I'm home. Because everybody that knows me knows I'm riding on Saturday. They don't bother calling me. Especially if it's not critical, they'll just send me a text or something. I'll get to it when I get home. So I don't pull out my phone at the stops for any reason. That's why I don't have too many pictures of the riders at a stop or something. I don't use my phone, especially on the Saturday rides. I put it away. So he was adjusting his shoes. What I do when I put my shoes on, I leave them a little loose early in the morning, because by hour 4 or 5, your feet swell and it will feel tight. So when I wear them, I draw up my toes and I get the shoes on, and then I leave it. So for the whole ride, it's comfortable mostly. Every now and then I have to move the tongue a little bit. You've probably seen me do it on film. This is where Richard goes up there to let this guy know, you don't have to stay up here all this time. he tells us, he said, if you let him, he'll sit up there the whole day. I said, you better make sure you gotta save some energy. He went up there because he started going slower and slower as the grade kicked in.
Yeah, well, he better save something.
So you better save something. That's a long ride. Yeah. So even though my legs felt great, the rest of my body just felt kind of meh, so that's how I knew, let's go ahead and make it a shorter day. You always have to listen to your body. So here, I go in and I enter the court, and I hear Abby telling somebody that he's forgotten the code. So I enter the code. So he tells them he's forgotten the code. Then he asks me,
Well, you're going to forget, so why should I tell you? No point to it.
I thought you're going to forget, so what you want me to tell you for?
Yeah, right.
Then he said, I'm being me. He said, I'm an old man, this and that. That's why I forgot. I'm like, whatever. So I ended up sending him the code by text. Because what I do is I keep the code on my CV.
I will send you a text.
Someone's going to tell you that in future.
I will send you a text.
Yeah, okay.
Because what I do is I save it in my notes under my V card.
Yeah.
There are several of them. There's 3.
It used to be 1486 or something.
That's 8550 that I use.
8550.
Yeah, that's the one that's working. But I will send you a text.
Okay,
There's 3 of them.
Okay.
And so that way you have a place to look it up.
Okay.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, so he said, I'm being me. He said, because he's old, that's why he forgets. Please, have fun with that old card. You forget stuff, but that's okay. If you use it enough, you won't forget it. I was messing with it. I ended up sending it to him.
Richard
I just didn't want to.
He's a kid. He'll pull all day if you let him. I said, he better save something. Yeah, that's why he went up to tell him, hey, you don't have to be up here all day. He'll figure it out. That's why I started filming. I wanted to show before and after. But he messed with my plan.
So what happened is I keep the code
in started up kind of fast.
In my profile, like my CD card. That way I can look it up because it changes,
Yeah, you gotta respect.
But Abby likes to tell everybody he's old, like he's Methuselah. Like, you're not the oldest guy on this ride, please. He always pushes the old card. I don't want to hear that. I don't discriminate. I don't age discriminate. I treat everybody the same way. So I ended up after the ride. I sent
him because since he forgets, he can keep it on his phone like we do. I said there's 3 of them, so I thought I would send it to him after the ride.
So I ended up sending it to him after I got back in time. we have cyclists that live in this community and they share the code
That
with
excuse
us.
all the time.
So we kind of keep it close to the vest. Just helps us to get through. Now sometimes you come, it's very early, there are no cars that you can get in. It's the back gate that's a pain, and we're gonna get there because the pad is actually on the outside. And so a lot of times we have to wait, and sometimes somebody will climb through. Richard
week, my
ended up
brother.
climbing.
Every other day, yeah.
Yeah, I told him I took a rest week.
Take a break. It's been almost 10 weeks.
I usually would rest after 6 weeks, but I had missed 2 months, so I went ahead and did a 10-week block, and now I needed to take a week off. And how I knew was I got up on like Tuesday, and my out the door was like, man, you know. I said, so I went back and looked, and sure enough, I need to take a break. I still rode, but just not training, just kind of spinning.
I told him I got 3 codes. I will send them to him. He can keep it on his V card on the phone. That's where I keep it.
So that's wind. There's a lot of wind coming from, let's see, the south on our left. And I think we got a little bit behind us, but this community is up and down. So you're gonna see in a little bit the watts are gonna go up. I think I get up to like 170 beats per minute. That's what my heart rate said. My legs were never under any pressure because of taking the rest week. I had a lot of days off, so I had fresh legs. But the thing was, my body just didn't feel like I couldn't get my rhythm. I couldn't get my body going. And so I decided to just call it quits when we got outside the neighborhood and head back. Kept the effort in the same zone and rode back in on myself. Because whenever you're with the group, when the terrain changes, you got to push to keep up. You know. This is a slight grade, might be 1%. That's 2. It goes up here a little bit. About 2%. So this entire stretch when we're headed out all through here, the effort level is perfect for what I wanted to do today. And that's why you see me, I'm in the top third of the group, but I'm not pulling. I'm just basically sitting in the wheels. But once we get out here right now, the road you can see is going up in the distance. The effort will go up. I'll be doing 350, 400 and some watts. Because the speeds don't go down much, even though the road goes up. See, almost 3%. I remain seated. I just downshift and keep my cadence close to 90. There's a lot of dirt from the water. When it rains, it washes the dirt onto this road. We've had a lot of rain this year. May was not dry, so that's good. I'll take the rain. Keeps the temperatures down. Gets a lot of mosquitoes when it warms up. They hatch. And they come out hungry and they're always biting you. So, you know, go outside, you can't stand around unless you spray something. So right here is where the effort starts to pick up. Every time we come in the neighborhood, this is probably 2% or so, SS3. So it's gonna go up, it's gonna level. But from here until we get to the gate, we're working. So when the road turns, it kicks up. 3.5, 3.7. Right in the curve. You see the little map there. That's where we are. So I've already gone close to the sweet spot now, which is fine. You know, I figure we're just going to do this for maybe another 5 minutes or so. That's the thing. So when you're in the group, it's hard to regulate your effort if you want to stay with the group. It always varies. Unless you're with a group that's intentionally doing, let's say, social ride per se. So if you watch my cadence, it's going to go up. So this entire stretch, we're going up. If you look at the profile of the map, you can see we're at the highest point, the highest elevation. Pretty much we're approaching the highest elevation of the route. So there's a lot of up and down going on here. So we're just a few kilometers from Keenan Cutoff Road. This road is called Grand Lake Estates. As we exit, which will be off camera, we'll get on the Hills Parkway, which takes us to Keenan Cutoff. So when we get to Keenan Cutoff off camera is when I turn around and head back. So this route from my house takes about 4 hours. You can see the effort going up, 400 and something watts. The grid is not that hard. It says that we're in a large gear, it's 3%. We're probably in a 53, 17, or 19 or something like that. You can see my heart rate 167. It was 168 briefly. I think I got up to the high as 170, which is right about race pace. I stay to the left just to not break. So right about here, I turn off the power right there. I can see that the gate is closed.
You legends, it's about 9:30 in the morning. I'm about 20 minutes from home. I went ahead and shortened the ride because this week has been a rest week for me, and I kind of wasn't feeling it today. And even though I wasn't under any kind of pressure, I just was not feeling right. And every time I would try to push a little harder, I was getting a little out of sorts, a little woozy. So I turned around, I let Paul know, and then I turned around and I took Keenan cut off the 2854 and came back down on Fishcreek. Just kind of wrap up this week because I got the hours in. It's about 3.5 hours into the ride almost. And so it would be almost 4 hours. That's plenty for today. I'll spin tomorrow and then get back on my regular regiment starting Tuesday. So hope you enjoyed a few clips I was able to get for you guys. But you know, when you get out on a ride, whether by yourself or otherwise, if you don't feel right, cut it short and head back. Don't ignore how you feel. Okay, so even though I had good legs, my body was protesting. All right.